On this episode of Rod Knock Ranch, Steve Dulcich sends us home with the actual Barracuda from Roadkill Garage.
And this is part one of turning this into this.
Through a wildfire, still works.
Is this probably gonna blow up?
It's not gonna fly out of the stuff.
This is Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's good for who it's for right there. I mean, look at that.
So we're down here at Dulcich's again. It's been a few weeks since we were here. We brought him his new
CJ3A.
CJ3A, that's right. That's what we brought him.
It's long gone. You forgot about it, right?
Yeah. As we were walking around here the other day, I noticed a car that I recognized from TV. This is the Barracuda.
I've had this thing sitting here for 5 years, and I've got no intention of doing anything with it. In fact, I was going to take everything off of it that had any value to me and then just scrap it, because it's not a project I'm going to tackle.
We couldn't let that happen.
No. So, Will, I mean, you know, I don't want to feel bad about this whole transaction. So, I mean, if you think I'm ripping you off,
No.
you got to let me know.
Look, I completely and fully understand this thing is garbage and worth nothing, but it's worth something to us, and we want to make it run and drive again.
Freiburger and I got it running as a burnt up car. And
Yeah.
Other than a bunch of rust and debris flying in my eyes, it actually drove really nicely.
Perfect. So
Yeah.
we're planning on 200 miles an hour in the quarter mile. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, no problemo.
Take it.
It'll do it.
Johnny, you driving it?
I'm in the passenger seat, I guess.
Oh, man, that's even worse.
We're going to
than
bolt
driving.
2 seats into this thing.
I don't know. We're gonna see.
I'm excited. This car, for me, was like super inspirational when you guys did your video on it. And I was telling you earlier, it's probably the worst thing that could have happened for me, because it showed me that there's nothing that's too far gone. You can bring anything back, even this completely toasted Barracuda.
Yeah, I mean, it was a heartbreaker for me because I really liked this car.
Yeah.
I searched for at least 2 years to find the Barracuda that was a 68 fastback that I could afford.
Right.
And this was it.
Yep.
I drove it a lot. I did like probably half a dozen different magazine articles on it. I chassis dynoed it. You know, I had a lot of fun with this car, but...
And then the fire.
Yeah, then it burned up, and that was the end of that for me.
Yeah, I can imagine the loss of motivation with the
Yeah.
thing. Well, we're excited, and this is the Barracuda that I can afford.
Okay, free.
Yeah, that's it. I try too hard sometimes. I have too many cars, and I can bring anything back to life, and this car showed me that, and we're going to do it with this car one more time.
All right.
All
I'm
right.
looking forward to seeing it, and
Yeah.
it won't be long, right?
No, it won't be long. We're hoping a couple months we can get it down a drag strip in maybe Tucson, Arizona. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but for now, let's get this thing loaded on the trailer.
Let's get it out of your yard and into my yard. We are loaded up, and we're gonna go grab a bite to eat with Dulcich real quick, and then we are on our way home. Barracuda going to Rod Knock Ranch. What a crazy thing. The Barracuda has landed. We are back at the ranch. We have the trailer and the car in the shop right now. We have a little bit of a predicament. We got to get this thing off of the trailer. Steve gave me a 7 1/4 rear end. I have no leaf springs, I have no shackles, and I have no shackle mounts. Now, I do have those on our banged up Duster out there. I want to try to not kill that Duster if I can help it, because it actually runs and drives really well. I have these pieces of way heavy angle iron cut that I'm gonna stick up on the frame rails here and just tack weld them on both sides. And that'll give me a cross member across that I can bolt or hose clamp or something a rear end to, just so I can get tires onto this thing for now, so we can roll it around and work on it and get an engine in it and everything else like that. So we got our angle iron cross member deals in, and we got the car jacked up. We're gonna try to put a GM 10 bolt underneath this thing. We have one that's only a couple inches longer than the 7 1/4. So I think if we can make it happen, we'll put that in here long term.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we in the business call a good job right there. I came in after rolling up from the barn, and Will's like, "Are you okay? Are you gonna die?" I was like, "I'm just fat, dude. I'm sorry." That thing's freaking stance, dude.
Seems to be pretty good. I like the stance. I think we need to do whatever we can
To make that stance
to make
happen.
that stance happen. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I do have brakes. Stuck the landing. The engine program. I don't want to spend a bunch of money trying to get this car to run. It's just not worth it. It means a lot to me, but it's not worth dumping the whole wallet into. So I'm gonna make this thing run mostly with parts that I already have sitting on the shelf. And that begins with a small block Chevy and a Power Glide. We're sliding this whole package into the Barracuda, and this is gonna give this car one more lease on life, and hopefully continue to have a lease on life for as long as that metal holds up. We have a race in 2 months in Tucson, Arizona, and a small block Chevy is going to be powering the Barracuda down the track. And I know you might be mad that we're not putting a Mopar engine back in the car. I just don't want to spend the kind of money that it's going to take for me to get my hands on a Mopar engine and then all the little odds and ends that go with it. The Barracuda will live again, and it will do burnouts, this time with GM power. Stay tuned. Let's get through this together. Just be where it lives. If I can go with this height, I can get the oil filter off. Headers are gonna be something else. The header will be no problem there. This header will be a problem for sure. I think I'm pretty centered actually. So we're gonna figure something funny out there. This might not work. No, those aren't gonna work. Huh. We've come to the conclusion that this is pretty much where the engine is going to live. We were talking about cutting the back of the oil pan so that we could clear the steering center link that's in the back here. That's not going to work because we have to cut it and then we run into the oil pump immediately. So that can't happen. So we're just going to mount the engine just above it. It's going to be sitting super high. This is about as high as we can go while clearing the center link and also clearing the trans tunnel. So we're going to start the mock-up phase of the motor mounts. So that should be pretty straightforward. This thing's rocked a little bit the way we have it hanging, so we're going to get it squared up, centered, and then start busting out motor mounts.
Thankfully, our buddy Matt has saved us a couple of minutes and donated these plates. And we were, I mean, what? It saved us like 20 minutes and a couple of annoying drills.
Yeah.
So
we'll use those to bolt onto the engine.
So I just cut these little tabs off, and now we're gonna put them on. And this
cut the tabs
Stop. And this is what it looks like on it. And so now we just need something to mount to this guy, and then zap a little bar from there, tube, from there to there. And then Will be a happy man.
That's right. I cut the tabs off.
He's lying to you guys. Don't listen to him.
First engine mount is done, just gotta weld it up.
Have you seen somebody that awkward before?
Nope. Cool. Small block Chevy swapped. On to the next project. This is awesome. This is the best day ever. All my friends showed up for my birthday and we're all thrashing on this car to get it done, and it's awesome. Everyone's got a job except for me right now. I'm not doing nothing.
This duster's allowed to be dusted, all right? We are taking the rear suspension because we are impatient. We don't want to wait to order leaf springs for the Barracuda. So we're just gonna steal this for now, and then we're gonna put an angle iron on this, and then hose clamp this rear end back to it just so we can roll it and move it. Now we take it all apart. Hopefully it's not all bent out of shape, you know what I'm saying? one done.
Nice. Johnny got himself a leaf spring with hangers that are going to fit the Barracuda.
Oh my God.
Hey, I got a camera in your face.
I got one here.
Oh, wow.
With the leaf springs out, James has taken it upon himself to fully install them on the Barracuda. And that's why we love him. And I'm doing other things. And it's not sitting down doing nothing, I promise you. But it doesn't need to be filming because it's tedious stuff that you don't need to see. It's okay.
AJ brought his plasma cutter today, and he's gonna be plasma cutting.
We're gonna make that smooth.
Yeah, so this is all GM A-body stuff. Those are 4-link cars, so
Need to make it done.
yeah, gonna cut all that stuff off because it's gonna be in the way of the leaf springs, so. Good job, guys. Doing the thing. So this is something that we thought we were going to be doing on day one, but Dulcich couldn't find the springs for this thing. So we're finally here. The rear end is dropping down onto the leaf springs, and this time it's a GM 10 bolt, which is slightly better than the Mopar 7 1/4. Send her home, Mr. AJ. Bam!
He went
Violently. He sent
full
it.
send.
He sent it home.
It's a kind of a crusty jack.
That'll work.
That'll do it.
That'll work.
Yep.
It's ever so slightly lower than I wanted it, but I'm cool with it. So here's what we got. James just vacuumed out the whole car. So the floors are clean now, which is great for the next thing that I'm gonna be doing. He did a good job. This thing is spotless. And then Jasper is over here. He is upset about the fender not being on the car, so he's doing whatever he's doing right now to make this fender sit on the car. What are you doing over here, Jasper?
I am going to create new mounting points for this fender. So basically I'm going to reline this up so that we can have this sit flush
Perfect. I like
in
it.
place.
That looks
So
good.
I'm going to re-drill holes and put new hardware to mount this and then mount the fender to this.
Awesome. Love it. I am about to jump in the car and start wiring. So I'm not wiring to anything, but I know where everything's gonna go. So we're gonna get a fuse box and ignition switch and all that other fun stuff. We're gonna make a couple of lights work to go down the drag strip. So that's the next thing that I'm jumping on. And I got a nice clean car to do it now, thanks to James. The first step in the wiring process is to get some kind of dash or switch panel or something into that thing because everything melted out. So I found this old drawer. It's some pretty thin sheet metal, and check this out. It matches perfectly. So we're gonna use this thing. I'm gonna cut it up and bend it up, and we'll get a panel in there. We can mount some switches and probably the gauges as well. So we got our piece of steel cut out. I got lines measured out. We're gonna throw it in the sheet metal brake now and put a couple of bends in it. It's my first time using the sheet metal brake. Pretty excited. We're using all kinds of sheet metal tools that I've never used before. Something like that. And we'll stop at about 90 for now. Pretty good. Good purchase right there. All right, with a little bit of massaging and cutting, that is our new switch panel, probably dash as well. Let's go inside the car and throw it in. All right, we got Jasper and his lovely wife, Alex.
That one broke.
Nice, saw that coming. They are working on plugging up all these holes in the firewall so that when this whole thing catches on fire, doesn't come through to whoever's driving this junk. Jasper's going above and beyond to make sure that this firewall is a firewall again. He's doing all kinds of fancy stuff, so stay tuned for that.
We have the sheet metal we'll use for the gauge cluster. So I already filled that hole, and it looks like it belongs, so good on you. Thank you, Jasper. He's gonna fill that one and then a couple of little ones, but he's doing a good job. Say you're doing a good job.
Stuff over here.
Huh? Say you're doing a good job.
I'm doing a great job.
Oh, wow. Okay, all right. That's confidence. I like that.
Hold on.
All right, they're working on that, and this piece of steel fit absolutely perfectly in there. First try, it matches the rust, and that's how we're leaving it. I think we're just screwed into place there, and we'll start running wires. Sick.
Feel like damn good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good job, dude. Awesome. Love it. Good job.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I want to wire everything. I think I'm going to use this 60 amp relay to power my fuse box. So that'll arm everything, and then I'll run everything that I need to run off of this little 6-pin fuse box. So I'm going to start pulling some wires and connecting some things and trying to make this look as pretty as I can while maintaining quickness and efficiency.
Yeah, what he's trying to say is that he's just saying that like he's gonna do it all, and then I'm gonna come in behind camera and actually do it. So
Get out! Yeah, right. Get out of here. You don't know what you're doing. Steve left me a hose clamp right there, and it looks like it went through the fire, so it's pretty safe to say that there was probably a tack sitting right here when that fire happened. Let's see if this hose clamp still does the thing. Installed through a wildfire, still works. We're gonna have RPM readage. All right, harness is done. Everything's pulled. We've got it all zip tied together, and I'm gonna throw some wire loom on this thing, and then we will throw the gauge cluster in and start making all of our connections. Camera died while I was installing it, so here's some fake me installing it noises. And that is how you install a gauge cluster into a burnt out Barracuda. There's nothing more annoying than building a new engine for a car, dropping it in, and then having to wire it. So it's really nice to have that done ahead of time. One big step checked off the list.
all right, as you can see behind me, we got Ro here. He's working. We have decided that we are going to change up the whole rear end program after all that work you just watched. Now, you know that we did this whole setup with the GM 10 bolt, but we learned that it's actually
It's a Buick Olds Pontiac 8.2, which is fine. I mean, it's a beefier rear end than a Chevy 8.2, but I can't find a 456 gear for it, at least for cheap. They're like $500 for a ring and pinion, and that's what I need in this thing. And I don't want to spend that kind of money on a gear set for a rear end that kind of sucks. So we changed it up. Johnny's going to show you what we did.
if you're seeing that we're red, it's because we're burnt, all right? We just spent hours and hours in a junkyard, you missed it, but Ro messed up. If you give me a second, Ro, I'll help you. I'll give you a hand. But yeah, it took us 30 minutes to get what we got. For the rear end program, we ended up finding a 56 Chevy that we spent heck of time just getting a bunch of parts off of. But here's our new rear end program. It is a Ford 8.8. We got out of a late 90s Ford Explorer. I think it's gonna be beef. And we can find the ring and pinion gears that we want. And what are your thoughts, bro?
It's gonna be a good time.
But anyways, yeah, so that one's getting all the junk grinded off. And then we could do the same thing that this is on, where we get it mounted on the perches, get the right angle of the thing. It's gonna make a joke is inappropriate. And then weld that in, and then we're gonna get this on the lift, get that welded in, and then get the transmission cross member built out too. And Will is doing his own little side project over there, so ignore him. I do. Now it's time to pull this rear end out. This one's for you, AJ. It's for me and you, really. It's a little bit of satisfaction, so check it out. Damn, that's a man right there.
Right there. Yep, perfect.
Rear end is good for now until cross members in.
This is going to be super simple. I've got this piece of 1.5 inch square tube that I'm just going to put on the front side of the original transmission cross member mounting points, and I've drilled a couple of holes. This is not the bolt I'm going to use, but we're just going to throw bolts right through there, and then I'll be able to come right off of this square tube and go right to the transmission, and it'll all be solid mounted. So pretty simple, quick and easy. Not much thinking into it, which is great, and not much time. There we go.
Oh my
Start over.
Long story short, a bunch of stuff was said. Will wasn't recording. Fail. Gas tank's out. It's not usable. Very rusty. So we're going to vent our differential up there because that gets it away from the car so people don't smell it. Because it's probably going to blow up. Gas tank's pretty solid. It's not bad in there. A little.
That's horrible.
It's the tar pits.
That's exactly what that looks like.
So we're not going to use that.
We'll finish the cross member, so that's in, and we can finally move on to getting the rear end where we want it, and then get it tacked in and then removed and fully welded, and then yeah, we can measure from this point to that point and get a dry line made. Right, Will?
Yes, that's the plan.
This weekend, on my trip down from Oregon, we're going to be re-gearing this Ford 88 with 456 gears because we want to go fast. We bought new parts this year, so we don't have a repeat of last year. Perfect. Got a whole box of doohickeys. I'm going to put them all in here. Not in there right now. You're not filming, are you?
Yes, I am.
Filming.
That's going in the blooper reel.
All right. We got to get all these parts. New bearings, bolts, seals, ring gear, pinion in here so we can make it go.
While Ricky's working on the rear end over there, I've been working on mounting the fuel cell in here. So I bent up this rusty old piece of steel to mount to the floor in a couple of places, and then we're bolting it directly to the floor over here. A little 5-gallon China fuel cell. It's going to work perfectly for what we need it to do. So that's what I'm working on. We're going to get this thing bolted in, and then I'll probably start running fuel line.
We're getting there. I'm playing the shim game. My backlash right now is 4 thousandths. I need 8 to 12. So once again, I'm going to pull this back apart and play adding shims again. So once that's done, our pattern's pretty good. It's not bad, you know, not terrible. So we're gonna play shim game, and we might try and do something else. We're gonna figure that out later. What have you been doing this whole time, Will?
Let me show you. Okay, so while you've been doing the hard work, I've got my window net in and done. We've got pins everywhere so it can't fall apart. And then I just got done doing something that turned out to be more of a project than I wanted it to be. This is a swap meet Hurst quarter stick for a power glide that I bought. It did not have the pin in it to hook the shifter cable up to. So I just went and made one out of a carburetor stud, a nut that I shaved down so it was thinner in diameter, and then I tapped a little piece of 120 steel, mild steel, to fit snug in there to act as a nut to where I could thread this whole deal in. I got that together, so now we're ready to bolt the shifter in, and then I can get the shifter cable on and at least get it routed back to the trans. When we get this thing on the lift, I'll then drop the pan and get my linkage bar put into the power glide, so that'll be ready to go. My arm is not gonna fly out of the car, and really we don't even need latches. The door, it's not gonna open. It's fine. So I feel safe and secure in here, which is exactly what NHRA tech wants. All right, it is the last day of Ricky being here. He goes home today. He is almost finished up with the rear end. It's been fighting him a little bit, but he got this thing dialed in, so we're about to slam the axles back in it. He's about to slam the axles back in it. I have not been helping with the rear end project at all. What I am going to help with is the junkyard will punch holes into diff covers and transmission pans and anything that's got fluid in it. So they punch these holes through, they put these rubber plugs in there, they never work, so I'm going to weld up this hole so the thing doesn't leak and we don't have to worry about a rubber plug rotting out and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to patch that up so that by the time he's ready and all the axles are in, we can cover it up, fill it up with oil. We forgot to get that diff additive stuff that... We're done. All right, Ricky just found a problem. Tell me what we're dealing with here, Ricky.
I need to put the axles in, and I need to pull this center pin so I can access to get the C-clips in. I might try and not do it because we put a bigger gear in here, and we didn't think we don't do this. It's hitting pretty good.
Yeah, it's making a lot of contact.
So, on today's episode of How Messed Up is Messed Up, it's messed up.
It's pretty messed up.
This is Nightmare on Elm Street right here.
This is a big issue. All right, take it apart. Pull the ring gear off.
No. The rear end debacle. We've got axles in it now. After some precise machining on this roll center crossbend, we got it to fit past this ring gear. It's nice and tight. Now we just got to retorque the caps, and we can put the rear end back in the car. Huge milestone.
Finally, dude. Took you 3 weeks.
I know. Yep. You know, can't rush perfection, and we're not going for that, so we're doing all right.
Nice. Now we'll never forget. Pretty
Last
cool.
build date. We're gonna start bending this roll bar for the Barracuda. New bender, never been DOM before. We bought some cheap like exhaust tubing. Did a practice run, it fits pretty good. So I'm gonna try and pattern bend it. And hopefully Will's wallet doesn't get too hurt in the process.
Building the cage and using this bender has been very complicated and challenging for my friends here. I've come to save the day, and I'm teaching them how to do it, and we are going to learn off camera to not look even more like a moron than we actually are. They're going to learn while I teach them. So we're going to figure it out, and then you will see a montage of us figure it out and building it. So please enjoy it.
Shut up, John.
How do I be scared?
It's good for who it's for right there.
Good enough for who it's for.
Woohoo!
That was hard.
Okay, this is never coming out of the car.
No, that's gonna stay right there.
I'm gonna get my buddy out of my
Main.
waistcloth. I have my little guy.
Thanks. Put me down.
I'm gonna, it's okay.
Oh my god. Alright. Took some measurements last night and cut these out of some 2x3 rectangular tubing, and also some flat plates with a little bend in them to box these back up. But these are going to be our subframe connectors for the car. We're going to span these from the front subframe to the rear, and off of this will be an outrigger that our main hoop attaches to. So we'll weld the hoop onto that outrigger. That is going to fit right around the frame rails there, just like that. What I'm going to do is come off of here. This is nice and strong here. I'll channel the rectangular tubing out and kick it over at an angle, and that'll be our outrigger that grabs our main hoop. Maybe I'll gusset it right there. I'm ready to weld under the car. I hate welding on my back. I'm a weenie. Can't handle the sparks falling on me. So I got my old fire turnouts, these old worn out things. It's kind of fitting for the car that I'm working on too, to be wearing firefighter equipment while I'm, doing things on it. So I'm gonna crawl underneath there and buzz these things in. Here we go. Now that the subframe connectors and our outriggers for our main hoop are welded in, I can measure our main hoop and cut it down to length to where it lands right on those outriggers, and I can weld it into place.
Now that Will's got a bunch of work done on the roll bar, he still got some more. It's finally my turn to do my part. Yay me!
Big moment here. We're gonna zap the cage or zap the main hoop in. We had to finish weld everything, but we just heard a cow, and we're not supposed to hear cows right now because they're supposed to be far away from here, which means the cows are out, so we're gonna go do that now. I'm removing this package tray deal, whatever you call it, because I need to get down to where there's some structure where the subframe unibody deal comes up and over. So I just drilled out all these screws. So this looks like it's pretty loose. Let's see if there's any goodies underneath it.
If good mean more rust, then yes.
Yeah, there's lots of more stuff to put in jars to give away to folks at Duct Tape Drags. Look at that, we got nice landing pads for our back cakes. Cool, so we're just gonna weld some plates, probably cut this out, weld some plate on top of this. Call it a day and we'll land our bars right there. Well, this being my first time notching tubing and bending tubing at the same time, it took me a little while to figure out. This is only a 90-degree joint right here, but I needed to move the center line of this tube down so that I could get my welder in here because we have this thing so tight to the roof skin. So after a lot of hours and a lot of researching and a lot of math and a lot of figuring out how this whole thing works, this tube fits perfectly. It is more than good enough for who it's for and the car that it's going in. We've landed on our flat plates down there, clean that surface. All this stuff needs to get welded in. I'm gonna cut the other tube out tomorrow and we'll weld everything in, and then we can start moving on to the door bars. Pretty excited. I'm getting excited now. Starting to look like a race car in here. Ricky Rowe is here and he's welding up the roll bar for me because I suck at overhead welding, I've learned. I made this, and this is gonna be our driver's side door bar. We gotta weld this plate down to the floor here, and this thing is all kinds of complicated, at least in our world. It kind of kicks into the door a little bit and then kicks back out because I realized if I went just straight from the main hoop down to the floor, then I was gonna hit my elbow on the thing if I tried to turn left. So it kind of kicks in and out and does all kinds of weird stuff, but fits pretty good. We got a little bit more work to do down there on the bottom and get this thing as close to the door as possible. So Ricky is going to grind the floor down and tack that on, and then weld this thing to that plate, and that'll conclude the driver's side at least of the roll bar, and then we'll do probably just a straight bar on the passenger side. Maybe at a later date because this is the important one right now, and if we have time we'll do that one. We are on a time crunch at this point. We're cutting it close.
Roll cage is as done as we're gonna make it. Will sanded it and clear coated it so it looks all pretty now. We are not doing a door bar on this side. It is fine for what we need it to do. Today I'm doing my favorite thing, and that's sitting and watching Will do things.
And what I'm doing is tearing down this engine that I'm pretty certain we're going to be using in the Barracuda. This is a 90s Chevy truck block. It's got a single piece rear main seal. They're all 2-bolt main. This one's 30 over. And what I'm hoping for is that this crank looks good. So far we've got one piston out of the hole and the crank looks great on that journal. So hopefully it looks good everywhere else, and I can throw some better pistons and rods in the thing and dingle ball hone it and clean it up and throw it in the car. That's the goal. So we're going to tear it down and see what we get out of it. Camshaft.
I think this is Will's first time ever removing a camshaft, so he's doing a pretty good job.
Might be my first time. This is always way easier to do when you don't have crank and pistons and rods in here. Cool. Yeah, these cam bearings look great.
I think we like this motor.
I think we like this block, yeah. We're going to see if
That's what
these
I said.
cylinder walls
I just
will...
want to be clear, I did say block.
Yeah.
Now.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to be able to clean this thing up. We might even be able to get away with just a dingle ball hone. But I'll probably run it through with a straight stone hone just to see if we have any taper or anything going on. Cylinder walls are a little glazed and they've had a little bit of water in them at some point in time, but I think it's going to be good enough for who and what it's for. So after a bunch of digging through parts bins and thinking about things, I found the rods and pistons that we're going to use, and they're already together, which is great. This is a forged GM factory rod. These came in like Goodwrench engines. This one was manufactured in Argentina, and pretty good for a stock rod. So we're going to go ahead and use these. And then these are some used Speed Pro forged pistons, and they should work pretty good in this little 355. All right, so I've already went through and honed one cylinder, and if the rest of them look like this, we're going to be in good shape. There was only just a slight little bit of rippling right at the top of the cylinder wall, kind of where you'd expect it, where that ring comes up and stops. So I'm going to run through, do these other four, and then hopefully if we get lucky here, we'll get lucky on the other side, and this thing will be pretty much ready to throw together after that, a little bit of cleaning. So Johnny is going to be polishing the crank.
Says who?
Says me. While I'm going to be cleaning pistons. We're in a strange new place. My day job has turned into a night job, and I am out of town on work for a few days. But the show must go on, and we have to get this car done. So I'm in my hotel room, and that's my engine. And it's time to start assembling it. I'm only in this room for tonight, so I think all we're gonna get done is probably gap the rings, but that would be huge because, as everyone knows who's ever gapped rings, it takes forever, and I have one of those little hand cranky ring files. So that's what we're gonna do. I had the nice Bell guy bring up my entire engine, so I've got my block, my crank, and a whole bunch of parts. My pistons and rods are in here in boxes. And I think we're gonna try to get some better lighting in here so that I can see what I'm doing. And we'll try to set this engine up someplace where I can look at it and measure rings and do all that fun stuff. We are back, and this time we're not in a hotel room. We're in the back of my work van in a hotel parking lot because the room that I got is up a flight of stairs, and I'm not carrying this up the stairs, and I'm definitely not carrying it down once it has guts in it. I forgot to hit record, and I put the crankshaft in, and I cleaned the block up, and I cleaned the crankshaft up, and the crank's in there now. We're about to put the last main cap on, and then torque everything down and start dropping rods and pistons in there. So I'm sorry you missed the crank. It wasn't very exciting. We're live here on TikTok right now. Everyone else here thinks it's exciting for whatever reason. But anyways, yeah, we're going to get this torqued down and get rods and pistons and all the other stuff that's supposed to go in this thing in there. I'm attempting to pull this crank gear off of this block with this dinky little puller. I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm doing this because we're getting ready to throw the camshaft in and degree it. And Steve Dulcich has told us to advance it, so we're going to do that and make sure that we're not having any clearance issues. We're going to put the cylinder head on and clay the engine to make sure everything's happy and not going to be touching. It has come time to install the camshaft. What we're using is a Summit grind, and I'm not even going to pretend I remember what the numbers are. We're 224 on the intake, 232 on the exhaust. It's 550 thousandths lift on the intake and 540 thousandths lift on the exhaust, so pretty big for this little small block. It's cut on a 110 degree lobe separation angle, and then they've put 2 degrees advance into it. So we have some words from the WISE that say to install this thing at 6 degrees advance. So I think that's what we're going to go for. Get a little bit more response on the bottom end and give some up on the top. Bam, there it is. All right, so we got our camshaft agreed in last night. We installed this thing 4 degrees advanced from the intake lobe center line, which is 110. So we're installed at 106. I have clay in the #1 cylinder here and checker springs on both valves. I'm going to torque the head down just lightly because I want to be able to reuse this composite head gasket. So we're just going to go to like 20 foot-pounds. And then we'll assemble the valve train on one side
and do a clay test to make sure that we don't have any piston to valve clearance issues in there at 550 thousandths lift on the intake and 540 on the exhaust. So here we go. Clay is in the hole. I'm gonna spin the engine over twice so we can get both of our valves to open and close fully. And get our impressions in. I went with the less is more technique, and I did this again. I put a smaller amount of clay in the valve relief, and I saw what I didn't want to see. We are way too tight on the piston to valve clearance. Little update, I got the cam degreed in at 106, which is 4 degrees advanced, and I measured my piston to valve clearance, and I have nothing, which I knew. So I'm now going to pull a piston out and measure the thickness of the head of it to make sure that I have enough room to bore down 80 thousandths of an inch or so and still leave about 180 left on the thickness of the head. So I'm going to pop our number 2 piston out and measure that. Hopefully they're all consistent. Should measure every single one of them, but I'm not gonna. And that'll let us know. If I do not have the clearance for that, then we'll go ahead and retard the cam a couple degrees and take measurements again. And we'll keep doing that until we find what we like. All right, I measured the piston, and at my thinnest point, I'm 258 thousandths thick. I want to leave a minimum of 180, which means I have 78 thou I can bore down. Now, that is at my thinnest point, and my new valves are coming in at a different angle. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bore down 50 thou, and I'm going to recheck and remeasure. I measured at a bunch of different crank angles, ranging from 15 degrees before top dead center, I was at 172 thousandths, and then all the way at 5 degrees after top dead center, I was touching, and I was still touching at 10 degrees after top dead center. So I need some clearance in there. I'm gonna go down 50, check it, see where we're at, and I'm shooting for 80 thousandths piston to valve clearance on the intake side. If I can't get that out of doing this, I'm gonna have to retard the timing a couple of degrees, and I should get it back after doing that. So this view here really showcases the issue I was having. The top radius of the valve relief was not where I needed it to be. You can see the old one in there. Our new circle comes up and does not even hit the back of where that old one was. So now that we have our new radius in, and our valve's actually going to be able to go down into the piston. So what I just thought about is that 50 thou was actually perfect, and it got our new radius to the bottom of where our old radius was. In fact, I can still see the old material lying on top, which means I can actually go 78 thousandths from here down, which means we should be completely in the clear for this. We should be totally fine to bore these things down to where we need them, because the valve angle is so different than whatever valve angle these were cut for. So I'm going to throw the head back on. We'll check our clearances again, and whatever we need to go from here, I'm pretty sure I'll be completely comfortable with. We are all measured up. I stopped at 10 degrees before top dead center because I'm at 135 there, and that's plenty. So my tightest number is 15 thousandths. So that's what I'm going to go off of, and we will bore down from there to give us our 80 thou. That is after another 50 thousandths down. I decided to go 50 and check it again just to make sure. I'm kind of sneaking up on it. I don't want to go too far. So that is after another 50. So I'm going to clean all that off and we'll check again. We've got 4 done. So the cam is installed 4 degrees advanced, which puts the intake center line at 106, which is exactly where we wanted it. We have our valve reliefs cut, and we have piston to valve clearance. So we have about 83 thousandths piston to intake valve clearance on all 4 holes. So I'm going to move over to this other side here. If there's any discrepancy with this deck, I want to be sure beforehand. So I'm going to take it easy on the first hole, check my piston to valve clearance as I go. Then after that, we can go ahead and knock out the other 3, and then I'll be pretty certain that they're all going to be exactly the same. After countless hours of measuring, drilling, installing the cylinder heads, taking the cylinder heads off, re-degreeing the camshaft, all of this 20, 30 times over, everything is finally right. We have our piston to valve clearance that we need. the cam is where it's gonna live, and I can start assembly. So first thing I'm gonna do is throw a timing cover on this thing and then an oil pan and get this block painted. Then I can go and clean up my cylinder heads, make sure that they are completely sanitary and ready to go, get my new spring shims installed, and we can finally put this thing together, and we are very close to making some noise now. So I'm gonna get going with this assembly, and we'll see you in paint. The time has come. We're painting this thing. The color of choice, Hemi orange, of course. Because when you put a Chevy in a Mopar, you gotta paint it Hemi orange. Mopar guys, will it run better now? Let me know in the comments. I'm only gonna paint about halfway up the oil pan because I still have a little bit of metal work to do on this thing to make it fit in the car. And I found out that timing cover is wrong. So that's being used as tape right now, and then we'll throw a different one on there tomorrow. But first coat of Hemi orange is going down on the small block Chevy.
The Chevy's like, I know I'm supposed to be orange, but
Something
something feels a little off right now.
The gasket match is key to a quality paint job. All right, first coat down, let's go to bed. Got a Hemi orange Chevy small block. I already peeled a little bit of the tape off when I was moving it over here, but let's peel the rest and then finally get heads on this thing permanently. To bump my compression ratio up and get my quench a little bit more where we wanted it, because we're about 25 to 27 thou in the hole on every cylinder, and I wanted to bring that quench up just a little bit, but 28 thousandths is going to get us right where we want to be, at least close to it, and these cylinder heads are going to be good. So here we go. Bam. The cylinder heads are on, they're torqued, they're done, they're not coming off again. That feels good. The time has finally come. We are putting on the cake topper. This will be a temporary one because I want to go with a tunnel ram on this thing in the end, but for simplicity, we're going to run this big single plane, single carburetor deal on it for the fire up and to make sure everything doesn't leak and everything like that, just so we're not messing around with two carburetors while we're figuring out everything else on the engine. So I'm going to slam this thing on there, throw some valve covers on it, and we'll be ready to drop this thing in the car. I can't believe I just said that. There's the squish I was wanting. Now it looks like an engine.
This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. This is just part 1 of 3. As you can see, the engine is in. So, you guys have so much more to tune in for. Please tune in next week for the next episode.
Yeah, what he said. These bearings look great. Yeah? I had to say it again for the camera. Yeah. You're going to bed?
Going to bed.
Are you really?
I'm tired.
You quitter.
I'm proud of you, Doug, for being a man and going to bed when you want to go to bed.